I have to say, I have very little respect for somebody like Kate Blanchett when she says that hashtag MeToo got canceled or killed very quickly, and that a systematic layer of abuse remains. I'm not sure you're allowed to take that position when you jump feet first into an X-rated film along with Selena Gomez and an epic X-rated Brady Corbett film celebrating the things that you're calling out. I think you're a little bit of a hypocrite, and I think you're a lot of bit of an opportunist. And you know what? That's what we're talking about today. Here we go. But before we get started, just a real quick reminder, I am headed for 50K. I can only do that with your kind indulgence and your attention. So double check you're still subscribed to the channel down below. And if not, hit the subscribe button. Whether you're here for your first time or your 1000th, hit the bell icon, turn on all notifications so you don't miss anything. Because, hey, there's almost a daily live program throughout the week. And then do me the final favor of hitting the thumbs up button. Now, at the end, if you want to, or you feel compelled during the middle, leave me comments down below. Believe it or not, that really helps. You can take a look at the Michael video that I just did a couple days ago, and the fact that those views jump substantially, driven all by your comments. So you make a difference on the channels that you know and love. So let's talk a little bit more about Cate Blanchett. And this story, of course, is from the Hollywood perspective. In fact, the next two are, but I think it's kind of funny before we get into an actual news source. Cate Blanchett says, "Me Too got killed very quickly, and that systemic layer of abuse remains." I'm not sure I agree with her. Actually, I definitely disagree with her. And she says, "Me Too got killed off very quickly." Cate Blanchett reportedly said during one of the festival rendezvous conversation today in Cannes. As a result, the Oscar winner maintained gender's imbalance is still wildly present in the industry. "I'm still on film sets, and I do a head count every day." Well, let me tell you, that's not healthy. If you're only looking around for quote unquote representation on a film set, there are jobs that women just won't take. If you've ever been on a film set, you probably know what some of them are. It's not the catering, and it's some other stuff that's there that's very hard, difficult work that requires a lot of labor intensity. So she's being a little bit biased in her own presentation of information. And again, this is anecdotal, not actual, which is another problem as well. But she says there's 10 women and there's 75 men every morning, and I love men, but what happens is the jokes become the same. And what happens is you just have to brace yourself slightly. And I'm used to that, but it just gets boring. It gets boring for everybody when you talk or walk into a homogenous workplace. I think it is an effect of the work. And I couldn't think she's more wrong. I think that the industry is, well, only what it is because, well, it was built that way. It wasn't systemic in any way. It's the fact that it takes a lot of actual intense labor to strike sets and to set up electrics and many of the other things that happen during the course of a shoot. You only have so many people who are able and willing to do that job. It's, people want jobs of authority, which is the other problem with the ladies' Me Too movement and Time's Up and all of that. They only want the positions of authority that puts them at a desk. They don't want the actual labor gigs, and the few that do get them very easily, as a matter of fact, if you've ever been present. But I think a lot of this just rings of massive hypocrisy when you take a look at this in the context of what projects that Cate Blanchett will put herself in the midst of. This kind of hits at exactly the wrong time and exactly the wrong way when you're talking about this story, with headlines from Variety saying Cate Blanchett and Selena Gomez set to star in Brady Corbett's new X-rated epic. X-rated. I wonder why it's X-rated. Let's take a look at the story. You see, Cate Blanchett are set to be in the brutalist director Brady Corbett's next film alongside Michael Fassbender. He's a pretty guy, at least a lot of ladies would think. So during a masterclass at the Cannes Film Festival, I don't know about a masterclass, but okay, Blanchett let slip that she's about to work with Brady Corbett on a film. Variety's confirmed that she has indeed been cast in the Oscar-nominated Helmer's next feature with Gomez, also starring in addition to Michael Fassbender. Now, I tell you what, Fassbender, good-looking dude, chicks dig him. I get it. The Insider, which again, Snyder is out there breaking news, had previously reported on Gomez's casting, so now we know more. The plot details of the still untitled film remain shrouded in secrecy, though Corbett has said in interviews that he's looking to make an X-rated feature set in the 70s. The film spans the 19th century into present day, it's just predominantly based on the 70s, and the film is really genre defying. He told The Hollywood Reporter it's also reportedly being shot using a very rare 8-perf 65mm cameras, which I think is interesting, the fact that we're going back to film. But like I said, if they're shooting something X-rated, why would it be X-rated? I'm sure you know why, but give me a guess. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. But what's interesting is that the folks over on Fox's The Five had some reaction to this particular story, and talking about Cate Blanchett mourning how the hashtag MeToo got killed very quickly. Still systemic layer of abuse, which I don't agree with. Once again, people take jobs they're offered. People apply for jobs they're interested in. You cannot force people to take jobs they're not interested in. Ladies don't necessarily want to be bricklayers, and the ones that do, get the job. That's the problem here. So Oscar-winning actress Cate Blanchett said Sunday that, well, it was killed very quickly. After its rise in 2017. Well, the problem is you had a lot of players involved in that turned out to be frauds and made fraudulent claims and were found out to be the liars that they were in court. This is a real big problem and why we're still not done with the Weinstein era. But there are a lot of people with platforms who are able to speak with relative safety and say, this has happened to me. Except for one thing, it happened 2 decades ago. You're not reporting it in real time, which is a problem because it's unverifiable. You can make unverified claims, but are those claims fair? Probably not, especially when you're looking back at what happened to Johnny Depp and everything else that happened to him because of Amber Heard. She asked the question, maybe rightfully so, why does that get shut down, she continued. What it revealed is a systemic layer of abuse. Okay, here's the problem. Define abuse. Because abuse means, there was not enough ladies. No, that's not what abuse means. Not only in the industry, but in all industries. How would you know? You've never had a real job in your life. And if you have, it was at a very young age when you probably didn't have this perspective. This is all ingrained in you when you work in this industry. And if you don't share the monoculture of Hollywood, you don't get a job in Hollywood. You have to hide in Hollywood, and that's a big problem. During the event, of course, Blanchett also pointed out the disproportionate ratio of men to women that she still sees while filming, which I already explained. I'm still on film sets, and I do a head count, and blah, blah, blah. I don't care about any of this. Fox Digital reached out to Blanchett's representative for a comment. That didn't come back, so Blanchett made similar comments in 2025, lamenting that the Me Too movement ultimately hasn't taken root. Of course not, because it's been based on a lot of misrepresentation of information and facts. You cannot make claims without some substantiation, and that's the problem we've seen all along. The minute you dismantle some of these claims and you don't believe all whammons, you end up very critical of an approach like what was taken with Time's Up and Me Too. You could have done this much better, but Time's Up and Me Too were just power grabs and financial grabs in the case of most of these claims. They just wanted money. If they got a legal precedent established, and they had to change laws in order to go back in time to go after some of these people, there is a substantial misrepresentation of information that can be taken advantage of with lack of evidence. Again, it's all anecdotal statements and the hearsay of other people's commentary around events. That's not a legal case, and it certainly shouldn't be allowed in criminal representation or in civil representation, and it has all along. And look, she can comment all she wants on people like Weinstein, and she's not wrong. I mean, I think he really primarily preyed, like most predators, on the vulnerable, except guess what? It was people like Oprah that were handing their friends over to Weinstein to advance their careers, but knowing that there was some kind of this for that situation. I would have said that in a different way, but I have to mind the platform I'm on. said she got a bad feeling about Weinstein, and I don't blame her. I mean, a lot of women did, but they knew what he represented and what he could offer. Again, it's an exchange of power, unfortunately, and back then, and even now, look, if it's something like OF, that's the only thing women seem to think they have to trade on. And I find that repulsive and frustrating, because ladies, you have way more to offer than, well, your bodies. Anyway, she commented on what he would say, saying he would often say to me, "We're not friends," Blanchett told Variety in 2018. Look, Weinstein's fall from grace after several ladies came forward with harassment allegations in 2017 is what ultimately powered the MeToo movement and Time's Up, expanding beyond the entertainment industry. And that's that. So, with that being said, I just want to ask you a question. Do you believe that the MeToo movement is dead? How about Time's Up? Do you think there's a reason that there's dead? And if so, tell me what you think it is. Is it people like Kate Blanchett who are hypocritical in every single way, especially in the conversation when it comes to representations of human interactions between men and women? Do you think that she really misstates what the power dynamic is, or misunderstands why a set looks the way it does when she's on there to film something? It's not like she has trouble getting jobs, despite the fact that she has the ears of an elephant and the duck lips that I think are unattractive. It's, again, my personal preference when it comes to that. But observationally, she is a wonderful actress. She's just not one of my favorites, and now she's going out of her way to prove another reason why. You should go and look at all the comments across all three of these articles, because they're revelatory in their nature, and there are plenty of them to discuss. And with all that being said, let me know your thoughts down in the comments section below. Be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, and until next time, see ya. Just probably not watching Cate Blanchett in anything ever again.